Senator for Missouri, Roy Blunt. Sir, it's good to have you with us today.
Hey, Thomas, nice to be with you.
Democrats, though, are accusing Speaker John Boehner of not having control of his own party. This split between the Republican Party with the Tea Partiers. Take a listen to what Senator Chuck Schumer had to say earlier today.
Instead of leading the House, Speaker Boehner is being led by a fringe in his caucus that thinks default is okay. Well, Speaker Boehner should not, and we cannot, let a small bloc of House Republicans lead the whole nation off a cliff.
Sir, we spoke earlier about a letter that's been sent by Tea Party senators asking their House colleagues not to support Boehner's plan. Do you have faith in what Speaker Boehner is putting together in the plan that he wants to present?
Well, you know, that's really up to the House to decide if they can pass that plan or not. I do know when I was the whip in the House, I would have been pretty upset if a bunch of senators sent a letter over saying don't do whatever it is the leadership is trying to work with you to get done. I don't know that that was helpful at all. I do know that, you know, the president's budget, speaking of Senator Schumer, got 0 votes in the Senate. So let's not talk about who's leading who here. When you're having these fast-moving efforts to try to now find a solution, clearly you may have to go back and say this didn't do quite what we thought it was going to do. Let's make the changes it takes to get it to do what it needs to do. And I think that's probably what Speaker Boehner did overnight. And my belief is he probably gets to the 217 votes on his proposal. And his proposal is a whole lot like the elements of the Harry Reid proposal. So there's a way for here somewhere, though it might actually require a short extension so we can iron all those differences out.
And sir, what are you hearing from your Senate colleagues on the left? Earlier today, we heard from Senator Harry Reid saying the bill that the plan that he has put together to try and get through meets the demands of what's coming from the Republican side, with no revenues, with the cuts, roughly 2.5 trillion cuts that will get everyone in Washington through the next election. Do you think you could be confident in supporting that?
Well, actually, Democrats in the Senate tell me they haven't seen Harry Reid's bill, so I don't know what's in that bill. I do know that it had to be looked at a second time as well. I do think that the idea of this select committee was a Harry Reid idea initially, and I do support that. I think a committee of the House, not an outside commission, a committee of the House and Senate that has to report back, and then we have to vote up or down may be one way to get some real long-term reforms, and I'm for that vote in the Senate on that kind of committee being a 51-vote margin rather than a 60-vote margin.
Sir, as we talk with different senators, as we talk with different congressmen and congresswomen about what's taking place in Washington, D.C. right now, everybody that comes on camera agrees that they are disgusted by the length of time that this has taken, that people don't get their work done and come to a compromise. What is it that the American people are missing out on when we don't have the cameras on you guys to see what's really going on there? Because, as I said, everyone comes out talking about the fact that they want to see this get done, they want to see their plan go through, but still the American people are being dragged to a cliff.
Well, I think after the politics of the last couple of years that both sides have had a really hard time figuring out that neither side is in control. And at the end of the day, you have to have something that doesn't perfectly satisfy either Republicans in the House and Senate or the Republican or the Democrat majority in the Senate and the President of the United States. This is a divided government right now. And by definition, if you have a solution, it's likely that nobody's going to be totally happy with that. And for some reason, Thomas, it's taken an unbelievably long amount of time from everybody from the President of the United States on down to figure out that this is a situation where you have to come together with something that is not exactly what either side would have done if they were doing it on their own.
No, sir, you make a great point there, because the sign of a great compromise is where both sides walk away from the table not feeling completely satisfied. So when we talk about the fact that Harry Reid is coming forth, or said that he wants to come forth with a bill that has no new revenues, no new taxes in there, why do you feel that that's something that the Republicans wouldn't be able to get behind?
Well, frankly, I don't think anybody's seen the bill, and I think the biggest obstacle to Senator Reid's bill initially was that he's counting a lot of savings of things that nobody thinks is going to happen, like 10 more years in Iraq and Afghanistan. And after you factor all that out, let's see what the plan is, but we don't have a lot of time to look at this plan. And I'm of the view at some point, if you're getting 85% of what you want, and I hope my side can do that, that's not a defeat, that's a victory. And the next day you start working on the last 15% on whatever is the next thing that the Congress is going to do. We have to understand that nobody is going to get everything they want here, but we're not talking about new revenues right now. Everybody is apparently talking about decreasing spending, and let's see where we can get now and where we could get a couple of months from now with a select committee that has to report back even more ways to cut spending.
Senator Roy Blunt, sir, it's nice to have you on with us today. We appreciate your time.